Yesterday, as we were tucking our kids in, I got a terrible phone call.
You won't believe what this liberal just said. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we have a wild statement coming from a liberal on a podcast. We got some updates from Tumbler Ridge. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we got David Coletto posting this. What should happen to the USMCA? Keep it largely as it is. 22% of Canadians saying that. Keep it with some changes, 26%. Keep it with major changes, 12%. And 7% say scrap it entirely. I'm guessing those are liberals because no one in their right mind would want to scrap CUSMA entirely. And 32% not really knowing enough to say anything. We've got Justin Trudeau back in the news. He just bought a $4.26 million home in Quebec. I wonder where he made all that money. Was it just from his role as Prime Minister? Trudeau's new residence is a 2-story family home with 5,000 square feet of floor space and was constructed in the 1930s. Moving on, we've got Doug Ford's daughter, Krista Haynes, saying this.
Your grandmother once told us that one day a Ford would be the Prime Minister. Which Ford is that going to be?
Next question. Is there anxiety around that? Do you think he'll run?
Pardon?
Do you think that he'll actually run for Conservative leader or something?
Yeah, at some point.
If he does, he's not getting support from me, that's for sure. Doug Ford polls well in Ontario, but there hasn't been any real challenge to his leadership there. Doug Ford is a POS liberal. No real conservative would support the party with him leading. Yeah, exactly. He is not conservative, though. Doug Ford is a fake conservative. I mean, he's good friends with Chrystia Freeland. Moving ahead here, we've got a podcast called Curse of Politics with quite the nasty statement here, taking direct shots at Jamil Javani's appearance. So this podcast here is put on by David Hurl. This David Hurl, contributing writer David Hurl, former pollster and chief campaign strategist for the Liberals under Paul Martin. And we've got David Hurl, partner with Rubicon Strategy, and a former top advisor to Prime Minister Paul Martin. He was Liberal Party of Canada campaign co-chair in 2004 and 2006 during the 2004 election as prospects for the Liberal Party began looking poor. So this guy is a Liberal through and through. And what does he have to say about Jamil Javani?
It's about him and his political future. Is this the show where we're supposed to tell the truth about politics? Is this where we're supposed to tell the truth? He's too unattractive physically to be successful in politics. He's not going to be the leader of a political party.
Oh, I don't know if I'd agree with that. I don't know if his looks are. I'm not going to weigh in on
Which
that.
Which part? That he's too unattractive or that he is unattractive? You got to break this down, Fred. I know it's day one, but come on.
Look, as soon as the election was over, he immediately put out a...
I can't believe you're going to dismiss this as not mattering. Of course it matters.
I think he's well-spoken, and I'm not ever going to say if a guy looks good or bad. I just can't do it.
So good on Fred Delory here for pushing back against this. This is disgusting. As Ezra Levant is pointing out, Jamil Javani is immediately identifiable for 2 reasons. He's black and he's lost his hair because of chemotherapy. That's right. He went through cancer. As we see from Jamil Javani's Substack here, how cancer changed his life forever. This is what this liberal thinks. He's too unattractive to be the leader of a Canadian political party. This is unbelievable. Just think if this was flipped the other way. Say if a Conservative MP was saying that a black cancer survivor in the Liberal Party was too unattractive to ever be leader, there would be wall-to-wall coverage on CBC and CTV going after this Conservative MP for saying such a thing. Are we going to hear anything from CBC or CTV or Global? Of course not. It looks like he hasn't looked in the mirror for a while. The veneer is liberal compassion with civility is very thin and fragile. When they tell you who they are, listen. This is beyond disgusting, sick, and perverted. Zero empathy or understanding. Disgusting people. Moving ahead, we've got some updates here on the Tumbler Ridge situation. As Brian Lilly says, please don't politicize a tragedy. Also, CTV News posting mass pew-pew in Canada have helped prompt changes to pew-pew laws over the decades. That's all the mainstream media does. Politicize this. We have some updates here. So initially it was said 10 people had perished. Now it's 9 because this little girl is fighting for her life. This is one of the victims, 12-year-old Mia. She was sitting in the library with 5 of her friends and they all got annihilated and she was the only one that survived. There's an interview, I believe, with Rebel News where they're talking to the father of a girl who's friends with these girls who wasn't there, and the daughter still isn't processing that basically all her friends got wiped out except for her. The mother posted this: I'm writing this post sitting in Vancouver Children's Hospital while my daughter fights for her life. Today started as any other. Now, however, my 12-year-old daughter is fighting for her life while they try to repair the damage from the pew-pew wound to her head and one to the neck. She was a lucky one, I suppose. Condolences to the other families during this tragedy. And there's an update here. So she did, in fact, make it through the night. She is still alive. And with that, we have a moment of silence in the House Commons today. Mark Carney decided to postpone a trip over to Germany.
This morning, families in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, woke to a different world. Parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters began this day as their first day on earth without someone they loved dearly. What happened has left our nation in shock and all of us in mourning. 9 people killed, more than 25 others injured, some still in hospital fighting for their lives. The investigation is ongoing, and we must allow law enforcement the time and space to do their work accordingly. Mr. Speaker, as this House knows, Tumbler Ridge is a community of some 2,400 people nestled in the foothills of the Rockies. It is one of the youngest towns in the great province of British Columbia. It's carved out of the wilderness in the 1980s, built on the promise of the resource economy and by the determination of its residents.
Why is he saying all this kind of stuff? There's no emotion to this. It's the resource economy. This is what he's putting in his speech. He doesn't talk about his kids. He's got a trans daughter or son himself. Something is so off about this guy. Just listen to when he says one of the youngest towns.
The foothills of the Rockies. It is one of the youngest towns.
Why does he have a little smirk there? Why does he have to smile when he says that? Does that not look like a smile to you? I don't know. I'm just saying, there's nothing to smile about with this topic.
Families who have built their lives there, people who have always shown up for each other there. When wildfires raged, neighbors helped each other pack up and move out of harm's way. They checked in on seniors and those living alone. They made...
He just has to throw in the wildfires there. Oh, the climate change, so scary. This is all very political.
Sure that no one was left behind. When the coal mine shut down, residents supported local businesses. They shared leads for jobs, and they lifted each other up. Mr. Speaker, Tumbler Ridge represents the very best of Canada. Resilient, compassionate, and strong. Yeah, médecin.
This is an awful speech. Resilient, compassionate, and strong? Why aren't you talking about the families, man? There's 25 plus 10 families all going through something. Some of their kids will be scarred for life. There's stories, I'm not going to play all of it, but, pieces of shrapnel and glass ripping through clothes and all sorts of stuff and getting out alive, but they'll be scarred. And then we've got families that have lost family members. The guy who did this guy right here.
Jesse Strang is the name of the suspect. That's all the information that we know, at least at this point.
17-year-old who began transitioning at age 15, who's also on heavy doses of SSRIs. And we've got that from Billboard Chris as well, taking SSRIs, antipsychotics, mushrooms, which cause psychosis, DMT, and smoking the green Luigi. There's numerous posts that people have dug up from forums, from YouTube accounts, and all sorts of stuff showing that he had a very seriously disturbing mental state. He should have been in a mental institution where he would be taken care of and everyone would have been protected against him. And what did he do? He took out his mother, he took out his brother in his own house, then he went to the school and tried to find his 2 other siblings and wipe them out too. One of them was hiding with one of the students that was in the shop. They used the steel tables in the shop to barricade the doors so he couldn't get in there to wipe out his sister. Instead, he unloaded in people in the library. It's time we have a serious conversation about all this stuff. Meanwhile, Mark Carney's speech barely even mentions his own kids. He doesn't relate this to his own family. I mean, if I had kids, this is the first thing I'd be thinking about is what if it was my own child that was getting taken out in the library?
To the teachers and the school staff who acted with extraordinary courage to protect the children in their care. In the darkest of moments, they showed the best of our country. I have spoken with Premier Eby to express my condolences and those of the Government of Canada. Our officials are in close contact with their provincial and local counterparts to ensure that the community receives every support that we can provide now and in the weeks and months ahead. We have been here before. École Polytechnique in Montreal, the Islamic Cultural Center of Quebec City, La Loche, Saskatchewan, Humboldt, Saskatchewan, Potepic, Nova Scotia. Each time, it breaks us open. Each time, Canadians show who we are. Mr. Speaker, in the days ahead, there'll be important questions to ask, difficult conversations to have. We owe that to the victims and their families. But now, it's time for grieving and remembrance. Now is for the people of Tumbler Ridge and the Peace River region, for a community that is enduring the unimaginable. To those families who have lost loved ones, this house mourns with you. To those who are recovering from injuries, this house prays for you. To the students, the teachers, the parents, every resident of Tumbler Ridge, all of Canada stands with you. May the memories of those lost be a blessing. May this community, which has shown its resilience so many times before, once again find the strength to heal. And may this house prove worthy of what Tumbler Ridge has always been, by striving to make Canada a better, kinder, and safer place. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
I think it's a pretty weak speech. Pierre Poilievre's speech is much better.
And thank you, Prime Minister, for your eloquent words. I'm sure words that you never wanted to deliver on the floor of this chamber. As fathers, we both know the feeling of sending our kids to school, hoping that they'll play and perform, laugh and learn, but most of all, come home to us in our loving arms at night. Sure, there's the odd skinned knee or sore belly when they get back, but that's usually the worst of our concerns. Yesterday, as we were tucking our kids in, I got a terrible phone call from Bob Zimmer, the Member of Parliament, who represents Tumbler Ridge, telling me that a shooting had occurred, and though not details were not yet well known, it was going to be bad. And those details have come in. Children who should have been thinking about homework and hockey were instead thrown into terror, grief, and unbearable uncertainty. 9 lives were stolen, 25 injured, 9 families devastated, an entire community in grief. And that community is the best of Canada, a community of miners and loggers, hardworking people, hardy, strong, the kind of people who fight their own battles but never hesitate to help a neighbor in need. They're the backbone of this nation. Behind every number is a name, a child, a friend, a teacher, a neighbor, a family member, each with a story. For as the rabbi said, each life is its own universe. As a father, I can only imagine the phone call or visit that brought the news, the panic, the helplessness, the heartache that followed. No parent should ever have to fear that their child will not return home from school. No parent should ever bury their own child. En tant que père,
So he goes into French here. He's striking the right tone here. This looks like a prime minister to me, not the other guy.
families who've lost loved ones, there are no words that can comfort or verses that can console. All we have is the words of all members of this House that we are with you, and that in the memories you carry of your loved ones, they will live on in this world, even after they have passed into the next one. To the young people who were in that school, I've had indirect accounts shared with me, and I can't even imagine what you witnessed or the horrors that to which you have borne witness. I cannot.
There was one student who said they're sharing videos and pictures of the fallen students, red all over the place, like some really gnarly stuff. All of those students who saw any of that stuff will be scarred for life because of this.
Not comfort you or heal those wounds, other than to say that the whole nation wraps its arms around you. To the people of Tumbler Ridge, Canadians across the land are thinking of you. The world is thinking of you. We know that in your small, tight-knit community, grief spreads across families, workplaces, churches, and friend groups, and know that all of us stand with you. To the courageous police, paramedics, firefighters, and other first responders, to the staff who risk their lives to save their kids, thank you for your incredible courage. All of us owe you a permanent debt of gratitude. To the pastors, the priests, the clergy, the medical and the mental health professionals whose daunting task now is to bind up the wounds. May God be with you in your work. And on behalf of the official opposition, as I told the Prime Minister moments ago, we will be with you, with the provincial leaders, with local government, and we will do everything we can to support this community through this hardship. We all stand together. There is no partisanship on this day. And that includes the work that we give in support of our emergency first responders who will, of course, be traumatized, but will be carrying out continued efforts on behalf of the community. And to the RCMP, we will support you in your work as you gather up the facts and complete your investigation, and in good time, at the appropriate moment, make all the facts, indeed all the facts, known to Canadians. And we commit ourselves to being present for all those who have lost so much long after the limelight is gone, but while the grief remains. And so those who suffer today, we offer you our prayers. And for all those who do pray, I ask you to share a prayer with the wonderful people of this amazing town. As the great psalm said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me, O Lord. Thank you.